From alienating fans to the baffling managerial decisions, INEOS have had the start at Manchester United, which could at best be called frustrating and at worst a roller coaster of confusion and mismanagement. It has not started well. But how did one of the biggest, richest clubs in the world end up here in the situation that we find ourselves in? Today I'm going to break it down, where I think INEOS might have gone wrong and what it means for the future of Manchester United. So INEOS officially took over football operations in February 2024, and it has not been smooth sailing. The Glazers still hold a majority stake, which does complicate the matters and really forces a lot of the issues that we are seeing and being left with. But the direction that INEOS have taken since then have left many fans scratching their heads. And it started off great. They immediately started appointing football people into football jobs, just something that we've just not had under the Glazer ownership. The Glazers bought United, appointed a CEO that was only about the money, and went, right, the rest will figure itself out. And just left everybody to it. The difference that we saw with INEOS is they came and it was like, right, football, boom, get some football experts in football roles. Sweet. Now, obviously, there has to be financial stability. And I think we're probably still a little bit in denial about just how bad Manchester United's finances are. And I feel like the decisions that INEOS are making have kind of been forced on them. But some of them feel like they're stripping away the soul of the club. And the people that are paying the price, the fans, the staff, and ultimately it'll be the players on the pitch as well. And that's where I think it all started to unravel. So if there's one thing that football clubs should prioritise, outside of the trophies, football clubs exist to win trophies. Not every club is going to win trophies. So, you know, in the professional pyramid and then the non-league pyramid below it, the thousands of clubs that exist, they're not all dreaming of winning the Premier League. Some of them exist for different reasons. Manchester United should exist to win the Premier League. That's the way we found ourselves in because of our history. Outside of the trophies, which is important for clubs like United, right under that, touching it, is the fans. Because without the fans, you don't have a football club. And it's the fans that keep the football club alive, but also that match day experience that you're so keen to sell to everybody alive. And INEOS have missed that memo. They've changed so many things. Lunchboxes for staff, gone. Steward bonuses, gone. Ticket prices, smashed through the roof. Corporate fans, they don't get the matchday merchandise, so you're not even looking after the ones who are putting in the most with that. Matchday programs aren't given out the way they used to. Bonuses for people, coaches laid on for workers and stuff like that. Things like the digital season ticket, the collections for aways, they're not willing to send as many staff anymore, so that complicates the matters. And they seem like nothing, inconsequential, small little details individually, but collectively, they fundamentally changed the experience of a match day for a lot of people at Old Trafford. One steward who worked at the club for over 20 years recently shared this. He said, "We used to feel like we were part of the family. Now we are just numbers." And in recent games, there's been the contracted in stewards coming there holding cameras in people's faces, filming them because of persistent standing. This happened in 2005 when the Glazers first took over. The atmosphere was destroyed because they was trying to silence the protests against the Glazers. Obviously, there's no in-ground protest to the same level as there has been, certainly 20 years ago. But this heavy-handed stewarding doesn't give you that warm, fuzzy feeling that we're all in this together and you actually care about us. If anything, it's further reinforcing the idea that we're just customers and you don't care if I'm there, if my dad's there, if my family and friends are there. It doesn't matter because someone else will take your place. And that's not the right way to think about people. And the fans are feeling the strain. The increasing cost of tickets during a cost of living crisis alienates the very people that give the club its heart. Happy New Year, everyone. With 2025 here, it is the perfect time for a fresh start. We all have a habit that we would love to leave behind, and whether that's nail biting, doom scrolling, or, well, you know the one. Breaking free is tough. But what if I told you that there is a healthier, guilt-free way to fill that void? Introducing Fume, the sponsor of today's video. Fume is a revolutionary flavoured air device that lets you replace bad habits with good ones in a natural and satisfying way. There is no nicotine, there are no batteries, there are no toxins. It's just flavoured air that's as sleek as it is effective. Fume is crafted with care, it's high quality, it's got a weighted design that feels amazing to use, and it looks great too. Plus, it's not addictive, and making it a perfect alternative for anyone looking to do a fresh start. They've got flavours like cinnamon hearts, black licorice, and the fan favourite, spearmint. There's something for every single person. Spearmint in particular gives you a clean, refreshing sensation. It's perfect for tackling New Year head on. And here's the best part. Fume delivers flavour to your mouth, not your lungs. It's completely vapour-free. You can use it anywhere, at work, in the gym, even during a cosy night in. It's also great for calming anxiety with satisfying snaps, clicks. It's got magnetic interactions to keep your hands busy. Over 300,000 people have already made the switch. Why not make 2025 the year that you join them? Use the code Stephen Howson, that's STEPHENHOWSON, at tryfume.com to get your free Fume topper with the journey pack. Just head to tryfume, that's TRYFUM.com, or scan the QR code on screen. Now, in December 2024, they raised the ticket price to £66 across the board. They eliminated all concessions. So students, kids, pensioners, they used to get discounted tickets, and tickets used to be whatever the season ticket price was. So my season ticket price is £41. You could buy a seat on the same row that I'm on for £41. Now you can't. Now it's 66 quid. And it's 66 quid whether you're an 8-year-old boy or you're a 90-year-old old lady. It doesn't matter. There's no concessions, or a student, right? Again, fans already struggling with the cost of living crisis, the energy costs, just the way this country's being absolutely shafted. You know, one of my mates is based on the South Coast, lad that I served in the army with. And he's got a young boy that he's been raising down there. Wants him to come and experience Manchester United. Brought him up for his first game, Newcastle game. I don't know if he's been forgiven yet. It was his first ever match at Old Trafford. And he got unlucky. He bought the tickets just after they put that price up. Now, what normally would have cost him somewhere in the region of about 60 quid for the two of them has now cost 132 quid, let alone the fact that, you know, he's got to get the travel, he's got to get a hotel, he's got to do all that other sort of stuff on top of that as well. You're absolutely mugging lifelong Manchester United fans. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's not like there's an alternative to this. You know, if one restaurant in town puts its prices up, you can go to another restaurant. There is no other Manchester United. United's matchday revenue is among the highest in the world. Was the hike necessary? Or was it an example of greed? Or is it an example of just how fucked we are when it comes to the finances? Because if you're willing to do this to the fans, I would presume it's quite bad. Because if it's not absolutely drastic, you decided to do this without needing to do this. And that's unforgivable. And then there's been the cost cutting. So Jim's been very vocal about the need to cut costs. But the way in which it's been done has really raised some eyebrows. 250 staff members made redundant, charity donations reduced or stopped, matchday programmes scaled back, stewards bonuses axed, Christmas parties cancelled. So Alex Ferguson's ambassador contract terminated, Brian Robson and Dennis Irwin's contracts reduced. I mean, even the tribute to Dennis Law at the weekend, we got a lone piper and like a couple of his teammates. Where was the rest of the team? Where's the rest of the people that played with Dennis Law that represented this football club? Financial stability is important. And clearly United are in a mess. And there's probably a level of austerity required because of how bloated we've been. Certainly how much money has been wasted on ineffective transfers. But some stuff you can't really put a price on. Some stuff is just gutting out the heart of the football club. It's not the first time that INEOS have faced backlash for similar measures. Their track record across their other ventures does show a pattern of prioritising profits over people. Now, is this smart business? INEOS is obviously an extremely successful business. Or is it tearing apart the foundations of the club from a supposed lifelong fan of the club in Sir Jim? And then there's the managerial chaos. They did a root and branch evaluation of everyone and went, do you know what? Erik ten Hag is our man. That's our guy. And then they bought a load of players. Now, there's some talk that Xerxes wasn't bought for him. Okay. The rest of the players were they? Public showing of support for Erik ten Hag, deciding he was our man. It was a contractual extension rather than a new contract. At the time, it seemed like a vote of confidence. But it cost the club $13.5 million to sack him just a few months later. That sort of money is probably greater than the sum that you will bring in the additional ticket sales, the 40 grand that you've chopped from the ex-players charity. It could have even contributed to a signing. Mazraoui only cost us that much. And when you're trying to balance PSR, that feels like a stupid decision. When we're taking lunch boxes off our staff, but sacking managers at the cost of 13 million, that doesn't feel like it adds up, lads, does it? You can't be ultra penny pinching on one hand and then so frivolous with 13 million pounds on the other. And that's not the only one. We hired Dan Ashworth, allowed him to build the greatest garden since fucking Babylon, and then sacked him 5 months into him being here. And that cost us a couple of million that we had to pay Newcastle. I don't know why Newcastle fans think it was 10 million that we paid for him. It was a couple of million. But we have had to just pay about the same in compensation to part ways with him, supposedly. Now, was this a failure of Ashworth? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody speak on or off the record fully about what it is. There was some conversations or some talk that his philosophy didn't quite align with that of the football clubs or some of the more senior directors of the football club. Well, who's going to take the blame for that? Because surely you interviewed him. Surely you had discussions with him, and surely they were lengthy. When you appoint someone to a director role, I would hope that you know them. I don't think it's the kind of... This isn't a 17-year-old from Ecuador that you take a gamble on because it's going to cost you a Twix and a bag of fucking bibs. Was that another misstep? Was he never the right man for the job? Or did we get something drastically wrong? And then there's Amar. You bring in a man that's got a vastly different style of play to the man that you've just spent 13.5 million to get rid of. You spend 8 million to release him from his contract and an extra million to bring some of his backroom staff along with him as well. But the timing couldn't have been worse. He comes in November. He has no signings to this moment. He's completely unsuited to the squad that we've got, which is one thing if you then supply him with signings, but you've not supplied him with signings. Our form has gotten worse. We sit 13th in the Premier League, which is unacceptable for a club of Manchester United stature, no matter how good the manager is. Amorim might be the right guy, but you're going to have to back him with signings. Is that even possible with the financial situation that we're in? You know, if you've got to take some ready salty crisp off a member of staff, does that sound like we're going to have the money to be able to go and bring somebody in that's going to actually tangibly change this squad? It's been a very turbulent 12-month for INEOS. The decisions that they've made so far, I mean, they had so much goodwill. I mean, there was always the group of fans that were upset that they weren't Qatari sheikhs that were just going to throw money around. There's not a lot you can do about that. But I do think they were a sensible group of fans that thought that they were going to come in and and change the way it was, particularly after that sort of initial appointment of a load of football staff. It was like every day there was a new member of staff coming in and you're like, nice, yes, nice. This shows intent. This shows that we're trying to do things the right way. But the recent cost-cutting stuff fucking reeks of penny pinching. Doesn't feel like smart decisions of a football club that's trying to right the wrongs of 20 years of poor management. It genuinely feels like penny pinching. It feels like the bottom line cost for some of these decisions does not move the needle, but it really erodes the trust and the relationship between the fans and the club and the staff and the club. Now, I've mentioned a few times that I can't wait to be a time when I feel a whole connection to everything Manchester United do. I grew up, I would buy a Sharp CD player over JVC one because Sharp was Manchester United. I know plenty of people who were on Vodafone for a long time because that was Manchester United and they sponsored us. They look after the club, we look after them. And that's kind of why brands want to be associated with football clubs. They want to kind of feed off that loyalty from football fans nowadays, or then, forever. And that went away in 2005. There was a dirty feeling about supporting anything. You know, I was on the flash mobs, allegedly, with Ladbrokes and Nike and stuff like that, in protest. And all of those people that were targeted, from AIG to Ladbrokes to Nike, they all parted ways with Manchester United in the end. And for the longest time, would not do business with those people. Would not work with Ladbrokes. Would not work with Nike. Would not buy their products. Didn't buy shirts. Like, there was so many things that you did as a fan because it felt like it was the right thing to do. And that hasn't really gone away. You know, there's still, like, I bought the recent away shirt, the white one with like the flag thing on it. I haven't worn it yet. And now I'm like half the man I was. It actually won't fucking fit me. So if anyone wants it, get in touch. I'll let someone have it. It's still in its bag. Like, I feel a little bit dirty in buying stuff because it supports the club. And I have a season ticket. And I've had one for the entire reign of the Glazers. I actually did a year without going to a game, 2005, in protest. And I was like, where does this end? Now, there was a lot of people that went, because the boycott of the club was vast, and there was thousands of people did it. Some would have gone back. Some have never stepped foot inside Old Trafford since. A lot of people. I actually know a lot of people that have never stepped foot inside Old Trafford since. And you think, well, what's the point? Because you're losing good fans just being replaced like nothing. And we're seeing that now. They will replace you and don't give a fuck. Do not give a fuck. Couldn't find a fuck to give. INEOS have to be very careful because the goodwill that they had by not being the Glazers was on thin ice. They required demonstrations that they were not the Glazers. And so far, look, their communication is infinitely better than what the Glazers is. But that trust is going, and it's going with a quickness. They need to show us that they've got the right stuff for the football club at heart, that they're looking for success, that they're looking for sustainability, which is very important. They're looking to clear that debt, which isn't their fault, but it's not ours either. It's the fucking Glazers. And that they're looking to back a manager and be patient with him. They have to demonstrate that to us. There's no point appointing Ruben Amorim and not giving him the tools he requires to be successful at the football club. You might as well have appointed fucking someone who went to school with Jim Radcliffe and just told him what to pick, if that was what he was going to do. Why pick a guy with a distinct style of play and then not give him the tools to implement that style of play? It's madness, isn't it? It's absolutely madness. It's like me giving you a new car and not letting you put petrol in it. See how far you get. Anyway. Apart from that, it's all sound, innit? Give us your thoughts. In a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.